Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya Krishna, Assistant Editor at FinancialExpress.com. And on the occasion of World MSME Day, we welcome you all to the With You, For You Season 3 panel discussion series presented by Reliance General Insurance and powered by FinancialExpress.com. At Financial Express, we host this three-part panel discussion series celebrating and addressing the backbone of our nation, the MSMEs. For the third session in this series, we have a discussion on small business, big risks, why risk management should be a priority. For this, I welcome Dr. Harjinder Kaur Talwar, Member, National MSME Board, FICCI, Srinivas Bhagavatulla, Principal Officer, Connect Insurance Broking Services, Madan Mohan Badi, Director and COO, WMG Risk Advisory and Broking Services, Abhishek Bondia, co-founder, Secure Now Insurance Broker Private Limited, and Kapil Mehra, Director, Lion Insurance Brokers Private Limited. Welcome, dear panelists. So small businesses often operate with limited resources. We all know that. And this makes them especially vulnerable to disruptions, be it supply chain issues, cyber attacks, regulatory changes, or natural disasters. Unlike large companies, they may not have the buffers to absorb the unexpected shocks. This is why we think risk management isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Well, we feel that. Let's see what our experts have to say on this. On these lines, I'll have my first question to Ms. Dr. Talwar. Why do you think risk management remains an underappreciated area among MSMEs in India, despite growing exposure to business uncertainties?
Thank you, Tanya. To me, as someone who has closely seen MSMEs and have worked towards the policies for MSMEs, I see that MSMEs are always entangled in their day-to-day operations. The main concern remains cash flow and what short-term needs they have to meet. Since risk is something that is not a regular thing with them, they feel that when it comes, we'll see it. Okay, so that remains a mindset of all the MSMEs. Two, probably there is no awareness amongst MSMEs. So that needs to be done unless they are aware that risks, once they are there, of if there is any problem that they face, and that time, if they try and plug it in, it may be too late. So awareness is second thing, which is a problem. Now you asked me why risk management is important. It is important because nowadays, one basic risk or one major risk that I have seen, even in my company, is cyber risk. Our data, the way data is exposed, how cyber attacks can take away everything from you. How can they block your servers? How can they choke you in doing your operations? So if we don't prepare for this well in time, I can't say that today I'm attacked, there is a cyber attack on me, and now I'll start preparing. No, I have to be prepared well in time. I have to have my firewalls in place. I have to have my blocking softwares in place which block any outside attack. So that has to be taken care of right at right time. So therefore, risk management is important. One, I remain intact. My operations keep going on. They don't disrupt. And you asked one thing more, Tanya, if I may request you to tell me. You asked me something.
Basically, this, why do you think it's an underappreciated area despite all the uncertainties?
Yes. So because it is not something that happens to an MSME regularly, like the operations or other things. So this remains underappreciated.
Fair. If we have to go on the other side of the table, if Mr. Abhishek could take this up, why do you think this is, while we talked about cash flow crunch and they feel it's not a regular thing, a frequent thing, what else do you think is the problem here? Why is it underappreciated?
Firstly, thank you, Tanya, for having me on the panel. I actually, fully agree with what Harjinder ji said. In fact, we recently had done a survey across SMEs in the country. And what came out was that less than 10% of the respondents had any first-hand experience of a loss, insurable loss, either in their own company or of a friend or a family member. So the appreciation for risk is that much distant, right? Whereas the problem here and now that they are trying to solve for is labor issue, employee issue, client issue, material dispatch issue, rather than risk, right? So the sense of urgency is lacking, right? So their mind share is devoted elsewhere. At the same time, the same survey revealed that more than 60% SMEs who bought insurance, they bought insurance because of a legal, regulatory, or a client requirement, right? So if the client mandates that you have to buy insurance, they will buy. As a company, we have served now more than 50,000 SMEs. And I can tell you during our discussion with them in terms of insurance buying, the awareness is not an issue, right? My own experience of working with SME is that they know that they have to buy insurance. They know insurances are available. It is the urgency which is lacking. It is the feeling that it will not happen to me. It is something very distant, is the undercurrent that remains in the conversation.
Right. If we can take the same question to Mr. Kapil Mehra, do you agree that there's no urgency and MSMEs really buy insurance because there's a compliance issue or a client demand?
Okay. So Tanya, firstly, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm joining from the Amsterdam airport. I'm en route to Budapest. And I fully agree with my colleague who just spoke. It's not the urgency matter. Sometimes I have come across the clients thinking that insurance is a luxury. So they feel ye abhi nahi lena hai, ye baad mein lenge, because they are so tied up with the cash crunch. Forget MSME. I have come across people with even 1,000 crore turnover. When we suggest them, why don't you buy a credit insurance in place? They don't understand ke, "Arey nahi, mera to bad debt hota hi nahi hai." So it's always the other guy is going to have the disaster and not me. So I think even the role as a broker, I think companies like Secured have to talk about the security aspect of how the liability has to be covered, and it doesn't have to be mandatory कि bank ने बोला है तो insurance लेके रखो. We feel that as insurance companies or as insurance brokers, we are guardians of your balance sheet. Only when the red comes, the CFO is called. Why my balance sheet has gone red? But why can't they be well prepared, well in advance? So some kind of education, and also a mindset has to be created कि नहीं, I need to have a fund flow in place to cover my insurance expense. Insurance expense is never taken into the fund flow, I feel. They are not taking it into the expenses that have to be incurred. They feel that, chalo, if we have a good fund flow this year, I will take the insurance. Otherwise, let's forget about it and leave it to God. So I think थोड़ी और जागरूकता लानी पड़ेगी, public में के भाई ये जरूरी है, nobody expected the Air India flight to go down, so it's just like that.
Thank you for your insights. On the same lines, if Mr. Madan can throw some light and also talk about what type of risks are most common, which are overlooked by MSMEs. Is it cybersecurity or financial or operational or something else? What do they overlook the most?
Sure, Tanya. And thank you for having me here. So as my colleagues has mentioned, MSMEs, not only MSMEs, it is to all the corporates again. So they treat insurance as a cost, okay, rather than as a security or a risk measure. So we'll have to probably break that myth that insurance is not a cost. but it's a savior whenever there's a claim-like situation. Okay. And coming to your other question, wherein I'm sorry, you will have to repeat that.
What type of risks are most commonly ignored by MSMEs? Is it cybersecurity risk or operational, financial, or something else?
Okay, so it's again all kinds of risk, I would say. Like many companies, when the MSMEs start their company initially, they would not like to take insurance for their employees. Okay, to start with, which is very important. So every company has three kinds of. So there are two assets and one liability is what I always speak about. So the first asset is their employees, okay, who have to be insured for their workman compensation or medical insurance or their personal accident, which are very critical. Okay, when they leave their family and work for the firm, that's the first kind of asset. And the second kind of asset, what they have is the property. Okay, the physical property, what you see, and these are the ones which have to be insured, and not everybody insured. Like Abhishek mentioned that they do not look at securing it at the first go unless there is a situation for them. Okay, so that's the asset what they should protect. The property is the asset. Okay, and thirdly is the liabilities. Okay, so when you come about and speak about the liabilities, there are liabilities of professional negligence. There are liabilities of directors. Okay, there are liabilities like my other colleague mentioned about the trade receivables. Okay, these are very important, and these are always neglected, including the cyber risk. Okay, so I would say all of these are neglected by 60% of the MSMEs. Okay, only 40% consider it as not as a cost and move forward and take insurance.
Thank you. Mr. Srinivas, on the same lines, why do you think risk management remains an underappreciated area?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. A lot of valuable inputs are already provided. But I would like to tell you, basically, the MSME insurance, from insurance point of view, the insurance is given. They are most of the times are financed. Most of the time, the MSME is under the influence of a finance, where it's a banker or another financial institution is supporting them through finance. And many a time, the MSME simply walks through having a policy, insurance policy, because there is a finance extended as a security. The financial institution provides or asks for an insurance policy. And nowadays, most of the banks have their own, tie up with the insurance company, so they just provide an insurance policy. But then I feel that the risk management starts at there itself while processing an MSME as a startup. Actually, is that when they start an MSME, what are the risks associated? Yeah, there are several risks associated. Risks of people that some of my colleagues have just not talked. People are there working in an MSME. People face the threat of accidents, health, as well as even death. So the requirements come from that angle. So the risk management has to be something done keeping people's wellness and security in mind, which is not taken care, if I may say, as on date when MSME comes up as a startup. Because the banker will be mostly asking for whatever has been the loan extended to that extent the property being issued. So there should be some awareness at the startup level itself that they should be aware of the risks and threats they carry when they start a particular activity, depending upon what nature of risk that particular MSME is carrying upon, to be having the right approach towards covering that. Second one is the property that the banks will ask them to take an insurance or give them is always to the loan amount that they extend, whereas actually the value of the property that the MSME may be having at their risk is much higher than what it is, and they will be in a sudden rude shock when actually the reality, the service comes when a claim comes. When a claim comes, they find that whatever has been paid to them is much lesser than what they expected, and therefore they are in for a rude shock. And then at that time, they feel that we do not know that we have to take insurance in this fashion. So when it comes to property, the awareness of having full property properly insured is also to be known to them at the very beginning itself. See, you can manage a risk at the very beginning if you have a good risk planning that happens at the very startup level itself rather than after several years. The third one is a liability. When you are operating as an industry, the liability come in a number of ways that you cannot even imagine. The liability even come for a workman facing an injury or a death at the factory site, and that comes as a liability to the owner of that MSME. Or it may be a gas leakage or a product leakage that can cause liability towards the neighboring people, to say so. So the risk comes in a manner that is not even imaginable, as nobody would have imagined sometime back. One of our friends was mentioning the aircraft that has fallen, and nobody would have imagined one falling and then falling on a residential area suddenly. So the risk management, unfortunately, it has not gone to the grassroots level at the beginning stage itself. Like in education, we have been given our educational background. Whenever we go through our education, we are taught about several subjects, but very rarely we come across the subject of risk management or insurance at the beginning itself, so that people are knowledgeable to manage it. And it's not practically possible to bring awareness immediately to so many MSMEs across the country. Even if you want to say, the practicality is that it's not possible. For one MSME, there are as many as 15 policies, insurance policies they require to take if they have to take. Therefore, for them to understand the requirement of having several policies is more complicated than running their business sometimes. So the thing is that we have to come across, or we have to come out with an insurance package policy that will cover the customized risks that the MSME may be exposed to, and then on that there should be a need to actually give them awareness, and that awareness reaching out to people is one thing. Second one is use of technology as it is coming up should be there. I feel it's a combination of education, awareness at the startup level itself, and then giving a proper insurance package that covers all the risks that they require to do. That is when then they realize that this is an investment that they are making, not an expense.
That was quite a detailed analysis on why the MSMEs still consider insurance as an underappreciated product. In any case, Dr. Talwar, if you could give a few insights on, from a policy and ecosystem standpoint, how prepared do you think are India's MSMEs to handle risk, and what systematic support do you think they lack today?
So Tanya, as I think Srinivas brought about 2, 3 very, very important points. One thing which he mentioned is that MSME struggles. I mean, today, let's say as an MSME, I've taken one insurance policy, second, third. If you will ask me, do you have insurance? Answer is yes. Have you mitigated your risk? Answer is yes. But have you mitigated your risk in all aspects? Answer is no. So therefore, probably all the policymakers have to sit together and make an insurance package for MSMEs. So there could be a categorization of MSMEs, let's say in IT, manufacturing, blah, blah, blah. They should make a, type of MSME industry, manufacturing or service or trading. And then they start making the package for a complete insurance for that MSME. One is, these experts are talking to me on this panel, and I know that he's talking about liability risk. He's talking about, liability to my neighbor risk, which as a person, I won't even know. I'll say I'm taking care of my own MSME. I'm happy and done with it. Second thing is, there are many MSMEs who also go through some of the risks of their operational risk, I would say. For example, we're dependent on one person. I mean, operationally, I'm dependent on one person. I am dependent on one machine. I'm dependent on one supply chain. I'm dependent on one supplier. I'm dependent on one vendor. So that also is a very major risk. And the best of all is the government and all the stakeholders have to come on such kind of events, such kind of webinars, where they understand where do they handhold each other, educate each other, and then suggest to government that these are the policies which government can do, and these policies will help MSMEs to grow. One thing is to be understood that if this is not there as part of MSMEs, for example, if I look at gender budget itself today, it's 8.86% of this year budget, which is 6.8% more than previous year. Can I allocate some part of it to ensure the insurance package for women? If we do that, women are probably the last segment of your MSMEs who will not even look at this. They don't even consider risk as one of the things that they have to have in their business management. So the stakeholders coming together, understanding, telling, giving it, some inputs to government, and actual businessman comes with them and tells them that hey, I can have risk on this. Can you give me a package, please? This is how I think the policies have to be tailored. Thank you.
In terms of policies and the initiatives that government is undertaking or should undertake, if Abhishek, you would like to take this up.
Yeah, building upon what has just been said, and to your question, I think one very powerful tool, policy tool, could be making risk as part of audit reports. So today, if you think about our audit reports, auditors have to give a view about whether the company is in a position to be a going concern. In the audit report, there is a section on management discussion and analysis on how the company is doing overall. In the same aspect, there should be a risk framework that an auditor should comment upon, right? What Mrs. Talwar just mentioned about being dependent upon one machine or one individual, that is pretty much a going concern risk, right? I think before we get into the solutioning and say, how do we combine 5 products and give one composite solution to the client, we should, first see what is the need of the client. And to that aspect, if the government, if the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India can make a risk framework as a part of audit analysis, I think that will raise the consciousness of the SME to buy insurance multifold. And tying to my previous point, where more than 60% SMEs buy insurance because of a legal or a client requirement, again, if it is a part of a risk framework which they're going to get audited for, it plays to that behavior, right? And it makes sure that they are buying the right level of insurance. Right? Often clients buy insurance, but they are underinsured. They're buying it for tick in the box. They're buying to meet loan requirements. But if it is being viewed by a financial, auditor, so their ability or their readiness for risk mitigation, I think, will be that much higher.
Right. If Mr. Mehra, you could take this up in terms of
policy. So Abhishek, I totally agree with you that yes, we can probably make some things mandatory. But coming to the point that Madam Talwar highlighted, she gave a very interesting note that why don't we make a package? Now, I wanted to, add something on that. That, a lot of these MSMEs probably are not aware that what are the risks that I need to cover. Okay. So there are various verticals of the MSME, like she said, we have the manufacturing, we have the IT, we have various sectors of MSMEs. So under that, if we could make a checklist, अगर ये IT company है तो उसको ये चाहिए, cyber security चाहिए, ये चाहिए, and we as advisors or the brokers or the insurance companies can go and educate them. Okay, boss, you are an IT company. This is the 14 checklists that you should be covered. Okay, you're a manufacturing company. These are the 10 checklists that you should cover. These are the risk areas, whether so then you just have to tick mark. It becomes more easier for them. Okay, bhai, मेरे को ये cover करना, ये cover करना, ये cover करना. Okay, I'll tell you example. For example, when we are doing even lately my one of my divisions, we launched retail in the the retail market of the buildings around Bombay. Okay, I was shocked that people living in highly expensive real estate, even buildings like Oberoi Reality and all, the buildings are underinsured, totally underinsured. They are just the secretary or chairman is insuring the building just because it needs to be covered. That's it. they are not taking into account what is the cost of making that building again, replacing that building again. There was a fire in the Dubai high-end skyscraper, just 2 weeks ago. So anything can happen. So you have to constantly keep reevaluating your assets and see that your risk is covered, maybe never be underinsured. Tell me how many of us have a burglary insurance for a house? We don't have it. How many of us have a personal fire insurance for a house? We don't have it. Believe me, 90% people will say, mere paas nahi hai. You understand? So this is where I agree with Madam Talwar. I agree with Abhishek also that ठीक है, regulatory तो कुछ होगा, लेकिन we have to, when we decide to make a pie graph of our expenses, when we say that 25% we should put in savings, or 10% for education, or 10% for this, or 10% for my vacation, there should be also some portion kept for risk mitigation, which I feel it can become easier if the vertical can have a checklist. Okay, this is my vertical. I belong to this industry, and these are the checklists that I have to, see that I'm covering all my risks in this sector,
Makes sense. Thank you so much for those insights. If Mr. Madan, you can take this up. While we talked a lot about lack of awareness and problems, how can insurance brokers help MSMEs move from reactive to proactive risk management mindsets? What can be their role here?
So here, what has to be done is what is lacking in the industry is there are a lot of newcomers who are entering the industry, okay, with lack of knowledge of insurance or partial knowledge of insurance. So they focus upon the already established segments, something like property engineering and the major liability segments, okay. So which offer to the large corporates. So they are more focused on the niche segment or the cream where if you are targeting a single customer, you are able to earn the premium for the whole year or at least for the whole month. Okay. So we need to bisect it. We need to bisect it and see that we are approaching, the approach has to be right. We are approaching them the right way by giving the MSMEs what is the kind of insurance that they need. Like my colleagues have mentioned that they will have to be offered depending on the industry that they are in. Okay, where the brokers and the broker fraternity also has to adapt that measure. Okay, that they have to focus on MSMEs in the manner that they are built up to. And they will have to have the checklist. They will have to have the audit, like Abhishek mentioned. That's a good point. Okay, currently what we do here in Bengaluru is a lot of our clients, okay, who are again chartered accountant practitioners, we have tried incorporating this. Okay, but there's always a resistance. Okay, because this is not regulatory driven. Okay, so nobody wants to take it up. So there are no frame laws towards it. That's why even the CA community also doesn't want to take it forward. So if these are brought into the regulatory framework, brokers also will be able to help the fraternity in a better way, wherein they will be able to land up into a better insurance. Okay, so the first thing is awareness. The second thing is, yeah, the regulatory framework has to be there. And the knowledge of the people who are trying to sell this. Okay, there shouldn't be any wrong selling. And we'll have to at least regulate the bankers, okay, who are selling it in a wrong manner. They just sell it for the sake of selling it and bring the insurance into the checklist, okay, and nothing beyond it. So most of these MSMEs, what they do is they feel that they are being wrong sold when there is a claim-like situation. The claim is not paid, and they feel that, yeah, they are being probably taken for a ride. And next year, they would not like to go for those insurances. So we'll have to correct that importantly.
Mr. Srinivas, if you can talk about what role can insurance broker play beyond policy sales? Like Mr. Madan said, a lot of brokers, they are limited to just selling it and there's no after service and they do not explain the things. So how can insurance brokers play a role here, and can they really act as long-term risk advisors for small businesses?
Yeah, thank you. See, basically the insurance broking, any broking company, is expected to provide their end-to-end services to every client that they have, whether be it MSME or large corporate. So it goes without saying that it's a primary responsibility of the broking company to be their consultant, if I can say in a way, representing them for all the risk management from the insurance point of view. Now, there are a lot of risks that the client, whether it is in MSME as we are talking about it mostly, may be having a lot of business risks, financial risks, which probably they might be very much aware in their entire planning on what gaps they have when they start their MSME, what are the things that they have to plug into, keeping the business risks, keeping the finance flow, keeping the cash flow in mind. But when it comes to insurance, they may or may not be fully aware of their needs in the first place, and then the gap that exists in their needs. If they have taken a policy, insurance policy also, what are the gaps in that? Whether it is something that they have taken without actually covering all the things that they require, or they have taken certain things which are not actually taken but not required by them. So one of the primary roles of the broking company is not only to just provide them with a policy or terms, but also to do what I call a complete need analysis to be given to the client based on the risk that they are carrying it out, the gap analysis that they have in their insurance, and how it will impact their business risk as well as financial risks. Because the premium may be paid in thousands or lakhs, but anything goes wrong, even in MSME, the loss might be coming in crores. Therefore, the MSME should be fully aware of the claim scenarios that may occur at the time of claim, so that they are well protected. The insurance actually helps them to be in the same position as they were before this loss could have happened to them. And that is the primary responsibility of the broking company, to study the insurance program and suggest them the gaps to be plugged in and the needs to be identified. And post issuance of the policy, the job actually starts, it doesn't end there. To be continuously updating them on how the risk is to be improved, or giving updating of the latest things that are happening in their industry, particularly how it can impact them. And the latest one that is coming to every kind of industry is the cyber attack that may actually be coming. So giving awareness, bringing awareness to their clients through various means and methodologies by keeping continuously in touch and being available to them is the least that a broking company should be doing. So that is the primary duty. So these are some of the things they can do. Awareness sessions can be carried out, which are normally done when it comes to employee insurances. They do a wellness program, or most of the people conduct a health camp to give awareness about wellness. But when it comes to property, it starts and stops at providing a risk inspection report. One engineer will visit and give a report, but the client never actually reads it or implements it. So the primary duty of the broking company is to bring the essential points of this risk to the knowledge of the MSME and tell them how they can run their business in a better manner to manage the risk. So it goes without saying that the broking company's duty is 24/7, if you ask me, and then they have the basic responsibility, which is huge, in advising the client end to end, right from arranging the right insurance program till they're assisting them at the time of claim as well. That's all.
So Mera, you had to add something to that.
Yeah. So Srinivas, I totally agree with you, and I also agree with Madanji. I had this feeling, if we are patriotic about our country, okay, I agree with Madanji that a lot of the newcomers are only chasing the big clients. Ke chalo mera idhar 10 crore ka premium ho gaya, mera ye mahine ka kaam ho gaya. I totally 200% agree with Madanji and with Srinivas. I feel that just like, CSR activities are mandatory, I feel IRDAI should also make for the brokers mandatory that you have to service minimum 50 or 100 MSMEs while your broking license will not be renewed. इसको mandatory कर दो. मैं तो चाहता हूँ कि भारत का भविष्य अच्छा हो and every small MSME should be covered because we need to serve them. We shouldn't just be greedy about premium. कि प्रीमियम कमाना है कंपनी को आगे लेके जाना है, but what about servicing our own people? We have to help the MSMEs or SMEs to grow, and definitely there can be seminars, you can be advisor, You can have a lot of camps, educational camps for them. But जब सर्विसिंग पे आएगा तो ब्रोकर बोलेगा अरे यार ये तो छोटा धंधा है, क्यों करूं मैं? यू अंडरस्टैंड? तो छोटे धंधे को या तो उसको इंसेंटिवाइज करो in such a way or make it mandatory. I don't mind. If IRDA says, no, Mr. Mehra, line insurance broker is 2 years old, you have to make it compulsory that you have to serve 50 MSMEs or 100 MSMEs. I'm ready for such action to be taken here because I'm patriotic about my country. So brokers have a very large role to play because insurance companies can't reach everywhere. As brokers, we can go door to door with at least every area of MSMEs that we have. We can cover them, we can advise them, we can do a great job with them. And I'm 100% with Madanji on this, that the new age brokers are not. I mean, I'm not trying to point out fingers at anybody, but सिर्फ profit को मद्देनजर रखते हुए काम होगा तो नहीं होगा. You have to serve your country, and it's very important that brokers can play a fantastic role in bringing the education on the table as good advisors to the MSMEs. Let them feel wanted. And believe me, I have seen my own experience that large business houses will make you compete with 10 brokers, but a good MSME will be with you lifetime partner because he will understand if this broker is looking after me. Doesn't matter what is the fee you're earning from him, but वो जो respect आपको MSME देगा ना, वो आपको बड़ा कोई लार्ज बिजनेस हाउस नहीं देगा. बिकॉज वो बोलेगा ठीक है मेरे पास तो 10 ब्रोकर आते हैं, लेकिन एमएसएमई को अगर आप सर्विस करोगे तो ही विल रिस्पेक्ट यू फॉर लाइफ टाइम.
Abhishek, if you can give your view on this, do you think this mandatory thing AIRDAIS should really go ahead with this?
If they make it mandatory, then we will meet the quota straight away because all of our businesses focus on SME. See, one has to also think about the economic viability for a broking company. I like the point that Kapilji mentioned about incentivizing the broker. So today, when you think about a small business, the average premium that they would be paying is less than 1 lakh rupees, right? And the brokerage that one would earn is like, let's say about 10,000 rupees. So one has to think, to service that client, what kind of effort is required, right? For a broker to do the need analysis that Srinivashanji said, to use a risk framework that Madanji mentioned. If you want to really do a quality job, then you have to have technology as the backbone. Without technology, you won't be able to do it. And then you have to have the framework in which the broker can make that business viable. Today, a broker competes with a bancassurance channel. Technically, bancassurance is not allowed to do business more than 5 crore rupees sum assured, right? But because banks give loans to SME business, they are able to push them to buy a commercial insurance business as well, right? They are able to push them to buy a fire insurance or a liability insurance. So in a situation where a broker is competing with a bank, right, on a non-standardized product, right, where the pricing can be free fall, right, the economic viability of a sales funnel does not become viable, right? So one has to take a broader picture into account to see how do we make SME business viable, right? We would want to give good quality advice, but how do you make it happen? If I'm ultimately going to compete with a bank channel who has a very strong muscle power to bring down the price, then with all my need analysis and all my effort, ultimately I'm going to lose that business, right?
Tanya, I would like to just add here that if we are looking at a practical solution, because the purpose of this kind of seminar ultimately should come out with what is an objective solution that we can look at in MSME and the risk management. According to me, one is, the various risks that MSME is exposed to from an insurance point of view should not be coming in fragmented policies, but should come in a MSME customized package policy. That's number one. Number two is that because economic viability is required for everybody, for the MSME itself, as well as the broking company, as well as the insurance company. See, today in India, the broking companies are working in such a way that whatever the client requires, they have to depend and obtain it from the other client that the broking company has. That is the insurance company. The broking company by itself cannot provide any policy to them. So they have to take from insurance company and then give it to the client. Therefore, the products have to be packaged and then provided by the insurance companies by taking the feedback from the broking community of what kind of package policies are required for various MSME segments, and then probably should customize and provide a package policy. That's number one. Number two is that the one way to make it viable for both the client and broking company or insurance company as well as everybody overall is to, can we provide a long-term package policy, not for every year? No, we have, when somebody extends a loan for house, it is for 15 years or 20 years, but the policy is not to be renewed every year. Therefore, if you can provide a long-term package policy to the MSMEs, I'm not talking to all, but MSMEs, we're talking about the micro, the M is big capital here, actually. So for MSMEs, let us provide a long-term package policy. One is you are packaging the policies. Second one is you are providing a long-term. The third one is, there is a provision, if at all it is brought in this MSME package, depending upon the requirement of the MSME, to give a facility of paying the insurance risk premium by installments. That is when the MSME will really feel helped. No amount of gap analysis, need analysis, education, awareness, policies. Ultimately, they are more focused on their business opportunity and profitability on daily basis with limited resources. Therefore, if we have to give them a viable solution, it has to come from the top, the other side. Okay, you are an MSME, you need to be helped out. We are here with a packaging and insurance package for you for the next 3 years, not for 1 year. And this has these sections which are required by you. And then you can pay this premium in this fashion. Then probably the MSME penetration means a lot to everyone involved in this entire risk management process, because everybody is at risk, not only MSME. When an MSME pays a premium, and then actually if there is a claim, and that's, let's say in 2 crores, 3 crores, the insurance company most of the time ends up paying it from what they call on their net. They cannot recover from any reinsurer. So they look for their insurability of this product, how they remain profitable. So, it's actually interrelated to each other party. So the way we have to go forward is the provider of the product has to be coming with these innovations. While nowadays IRDA provides, permits insurance companies to use and file. And there are various kind of package policies that can be brought in and made customized as per the requirements. So this is how we can actually address the issue on today's basis. Because technology reaching out to MSMEs at this juncture, depending upon the length and breadth of our country and the number of MSMEs that we have, is going to take a lot of time. If you want to see some immediate solutions on the short term, probably we need to think differently and innovatively for this. That is how I feel.
Hopefully that happens soon with such kind of conversations and requests to the insurance companies and RDI as well. Dr. Dalwar, if you can throw some light on this, what misconceptions you think MSMEs have about insurance, and how can these be addressed to drive greater adoption?
If I talk on behalf of MSMEs, Tanya, until I attended this seminar today, when I used to feel that insurance is an expensive business, all right, and it's only useful during disasters. I don't need it if I have the need or I have the urgency to it. Second, some people feel that claims are never get paid on time. So that's also a bottleneck in their mindset. Third thing is the paperwork which come to me as a policy is so tedious, and such fine prints are written that I will never understand and simply sign. I'll get tired trying to understand. So my suggestion is, can we make it simple and point-wise that an MSME understands? See, they're so busy in their day-to-day work, their operation, their other things. Are one person they can't recruit only to understand what paperwork has been done. I mean, we have a company secretary now, or anybody will understand what has been written, but it's a tedious work. I mean, it adds to their expenses. Fourth thing, which an MSME, I feel out of this discussion that I can gauge, can you show some case studies to MSMEs? Give them examples. Tell them that this was the MSME, this is what they did, this is where they took an insurance, this is how it helped. So it will tremendously help them to understand practical applicability of insurance. Also, the mention that insurance companies or insurance brokers should be asked to do some percentage of their work for MSME. I think it's a beautiful idea. It's a brilliant idea. If you can't say what percentage, say what percentage of your turnover can be catered to MSME. And MSME is no longer a smaller. We have reached till 500 crores. I mean, the definition has reached there. That means Government of India vision is there. Even the bigger company, 500 crore is not a small size of a company or not a small ticket size. So if the Government of India vision for MSME has increased, so can there be other benefits that can increase to MSMEs. So I think this suggestion that they should have some percentage or some work to be done, like GEM has 3% to be procured from women. I'm giving you an example of women because I'm a woman sitting on the panel, but then those kind of things do help. They do help. So I think these are some of the suggestions that I will give you.
And this is to all the insurance broking companies. If anybody would want to take this up, what is one risk that MSMEs are not talking or thinking about today, and they should?
According to me, the risk that they are taking is they are not thinking about the risks actually involved in their business from insurance point of view. That's a big risk. Not ready to understand what risks they are exposed to. The enterprise risk management at an MSME level also needs to be in place as they are entering into various kind of risk exposures, not just from insurance point of view alone. They will have a locational risk. They will have risks of various kinds, including a political risk, probably. The kind of situation that we are having, probably your business may be impacted because of something happening elsewhere. So the enterprise risk management is one of the most important things for any entity, including MSME, to be happening. And I don't see that happening while interacting with a lot of MSMEs, as a lot of our panel mates are talking about. It's true that they feel that insurance is something, insurance karna padta hai, to that's a document they require, and they have taken. When a claim comes, that is when they realize that they are actually not being adequately covered. The big risk that they are taking is they're not doing the risk management analysis at their level. And no matter how much we want to educate them, the MSME, somebody who starts an MSME, must have been having a business sense, right? So ignorance of law, is it, will you make you absolve from your own responsibilities? So the MSME needs to actually think about what are the risks and then come one by one, rather than just take whatever is given to them. You have to stand up for your own rights. How many years if somebody will come and say, I will bring you awareness, I will give you require this. And more importantly, insurance in our country, when somebody goes and tries advocates, rather than understanding probably how well you actually articulate to them, they think, what is there in it for you? You are trying to put me to some insurance policy because you get something out of it. So insurance as a subject is not there in our primary education, though. As we grow up, we are ending up as a businessman, starting an MSME. So we may be highly literate in terms of our education, but we may be illiterate when it comes to, we are not educated when it comes to insurance. Therefore, I feel that MSMEs should do their risk management from all angles and then pay attention to the insurance angle as well, which I would love to see happening. And from our side, whenever we visit a client, we tell them the kind of risk that they're exposed to beyond insurance and ask them whether they have done their ERM actually.
Hopefully soon. If Mr. Madan, if you would want to take this one, what is one risk that MSMEs are not thinking about and they should?
So mainly the trade receivables curve is what I would say. Okay, because these are small enterprises who sell it to multiple companies, who has multiple exposure across geographies, and they do not look at this exposure. Okay, probably somebody would have told them about employee risk, somebody would have told them about property risk, somebody would have told them about the public liability risk, but not about trade receivables, because most of us do not market it. Again, I would say due to lack of knowledge, due to lack of the gestation period of this particular policy. Okay, So I would want everybody to educate these MSMEs, because if they lose out on one of the clients' receivables, then they're losing out a larger chunk which can be reinvested into their business.
Anything as a yes, Dr. Talwar, please.
To me, one of the biggest risks in an MSME ecosystem is when the owner or key person is suddenly not there. So there is no succession planning and there's no backup leadership. So I think that's one of the very big risks that MSMEs face. There's no succession planning that they've done. Second risk, which is to me, is as MSMEs are going digital, the risk of losing data and the risk of being hacked is growing. To me, these are the two risks that working in MSMEs or working for MSMEs should be immediately avoided. Apart from other risks that my co-panelists are talking, these are the two major risks.
Perfect. While we have exceeded time, I think we'll conclude it here. So while MSMEs are still looking at insurance as a regulatory or compliance product or a necessity, it's definitely more than that. And we figured risk and accidents, uncertainties are uncertain. And it's important that small businesses are prepared for it. With this, I conclude in today's volatile environment, building resilience through risk management is not just good practice, it's vital for survival and long-term growth. Thank you, dear panelists. And I do hope our audience have taken a lot of learnings from here, as have I. Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you guys.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all.